We're not going to say no. The people travel all the time. Hey! All right, this video is becoming what this video is. We're going to talk about trauma and some of the traumas that these dogs have had in their life. What is trauma? What isn't trauma? When is trauma good? When is hardship good? When do you have to create hardship because your dog had the easiest life ever? This dog, sweetest dog in the world, she acts like a princess because she's had the greatest life in the world. From a great breeder to this giant house, she still jumps on people. She's like 8 years old. It's time to say knock it off to this dog who's had the greatest single life of a dog I can imagine. Connery, this dog also had a good life, but guess what? You know how much this dog is with us? Half the year. Because his owner travels all the freaking time. Is that trauma? Might be. Probably was when he was younger and he was with us all the time. Probably affects him. Now he comes up and he needs attention. We have to give it to him constantly because he doesn't know where his home is. Really? What does his dog brain think? Is that trauma? Not knowing who your owner is, to a degree, not knowing which home is really yours is trauma, especially at a young age. So here's some trauma things that you have probably never thought about. That is extreme trauma. Oh, my dog was hit by a man. I hear it every day. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Maybe they just never met a man. Then the dog comes into your life, is scared of men. All my clients go, oh, he's probably hit by a man because he's nervous of men. No, that's not true. That's not necessarily true. It might not have even been trauma. Maybe a guy was kind of mean to him. I don't know if that's trauma. You know what is trauma? Being born at an outdoor facility at a great breeder's house, but it's outdoors. Hearing the other dogs constantly barking when the dog is 1 week old to 8 weeks old. That is sensory overload that affects the nervous system so deeply that it is horrible trauma. But yet nobody ever seems to think about that. Horrible, will affect them for the rest of their life. What about you bought a dog from Hungary, French Bulldog from Hungary, gets on a plane at 8 weeks old, 7 weeks old. The heat under a plane, the sound, the sensory overload sound. Dogs get off planes at 8 weeks old after 2 days on a plane from Europe. They are jacked up. 95% of them are completely messed up dogs. That is extreme trauma that most people don't think about. Hit by a man is nothing compared to getting under a plane and thinking you're going to die for 2 days and what it does to the nervous system. Probably not as bad as 10 dogs barking at a beautiful outdoor facility with concrete walls and sound for 8 weeks till they go to the new home. Probably not. That might be the worst type of trauma. What about bored in a field in Tijuana or Riverside? That's not trauma. You know what is trauma? When that dog finally comes into your home and it feels the hard wood and goes, what the hell? And sees the ceiling fan and goes, oh my God, I'm going to die. The trauma isn't being where they're born. The trauma was coming to your house. Then there's obvious traumas that maybe you've thought about or maybe your dog has had. This dog's older brother, who we trained since this dog's older brother and this dog since they were puppies, died a week ago, got put down because he couldn't move anymore. Now, the dog is 9 years old. That's like trauma happening to a 60-year-old person. It is not the same as trauma happening to a 6-year-old person. Okay? The death of a father to a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old boy, girl, is real trauma. The death of a father when somebody is 60 is not trauma. It shouldn't be trauma. That's how the world works. If you haven't wrapped your head around that, it's hard, but it's not trauma. Okay, so this dog is not going through trauma. This dog is going through a hardship. This dog maybe coming here a lot went through trauma because he didn't know which house was his, which is a very weird thing for dogs. This dog has gone through no freaking trauma ever. That's why when this dog jumps on anybody, I go knock it off and I grab her and I have no qualms about it. Whereas that little doodle right there, who has had a wonderful little life, I have no qualms about that. However, where's this one? Where's that other one? There's this other dog running around over there. That dog was found in Borrego Springs, one of the hottest places in this country, possibly in the world, under a car at, I think, 7 months old. That dog might have thought it was going to die just from heat alone. Now, maybe it came from someone's house. Maybe it didn't. We don't know. So we have to be a little softer on that dog, understanding it has had trauma in its life, and we don't have to create hardship with that dog. You have to create hardship if your dog has had it easy. You know how many golden retrievers, as an example, come to me? Great breeder. By the way, it's not trauma, but it is hardship to be taken away from your litter mates and your mother and maybe your father at 8 weeks old. I don't know where this stupid law came from of 8 weeks old. 8 weeks old, you now can be sold. Can you imagine how difficult that is for a dog to all of a sudden go, I don't sleep with my 5 brothers and sisters anymore. I now, and my mom is gone. At 8 weeks old, boom, you're at a new house. And now the new house is crate training you all night in another room. And you're just like, there's no one around. That's why, and I've gotten heat for it, let your puppy sleep in bed with you. Be under the covers next to you as close to near his mom, brothers, and sisters that can possibly happen. It's warmth, it's closeness, it's touch. I've let all my young dogs sleep with me, but then you're never got neutered, full of himself golden, who jumps on the counter and jumps on everybody and does whatever he wants because he's your little baby. He is a jerk at a dog park. That's a whole different deal. Hardship. Grab him. Sit him down. Oh, Joel, you can't be mean to dogs. No, you can. You sometimes have to because they have had nobody be mean to them their whole life. They've had it made in the shade. You are the hardship. It's the same with children. If they've had it too damn good, you need to create hardship and you're the hardship. If they've had trauma, then you're not creating hardship. You're going to tell them, hey, they can't do that, but you're not going to be this overbearing disciplinarian like you will with that dog who is being a jerk at a dog park because he's had it all given to him his whole life. You are no freaking nonsense with that dog. But then they've had trauma, you're understanding that they've had it. Now, I have 2 programs, you guys, okay, deals with Beckman aggression program, Beckman coaching program. Okay, they're getting videos like this all the time. In-depth videos that make them better dog trainers, better dog owners, making their dog less aggressive and becoming high-level dog trainers. I'll put both those links in the description. If you have an aggressive dog, sign up for that program. It's monthly. You get lives, just like the Beckman coaching program. You get all these videos, you get lives, you get a community section. It's wonderful. So that's it. I'll put that in the description. So I've gone through most of the trauma. Prince was, came from a great breeder, went to a house. She brought him back to the breeder. Then we took him. Not trauma. Not great. You don't want a dog or a kid to have multiple families. It's not great. But he came into a loving house with children and love. And so there is room for me to say, knock it off, Prince. When I say come, you come. I'm not saying you don't do that with the trauma dog, but it's a little different. But Prince can handle it. He's had a good life. These schnauzers, they can handle it. They've had a good life. Connery came to us. Connery, come here. My first big video was Connery and Prince when he was not neutered, when he was intact, posturing off in there. And I was somewhat hard on Connery because you can't do that with an older dog. But I also did understand that, no, at that point he had had a good life and it was his first time with us. But since then we've had to adjust our methods with Connery because he's with us so much. It's hard on him to be with us all as much as he is. Now, the people travel. We're not going to say no. The people travel all the time. Hey! All right, this video is becoming what this video is. This dog came over and said, I want attention. I just talked to you about Connery and then Connery's need for love and how it's important. This is a giant schnauzer, as good of a guard dog as there is in the world. They're hairy Cane Corsos. He's intact. He's had a great life. He comes over. I push him away and he growls at me. This guy can't come over and growl at me or him because he gets pushed away. That is a sign of possibly too damn easy of a life. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know if you could hear the growl. I hope you can. I hope you could. You can't growl at me because you got pushed away because you came in for attention. I don't care if your parents give you attention all the time. I'm going to create the hardship in that Schnauzer's life because it needs hardship in its life. Weak, there are people running around that have had no hardship in their life and it shows. And then there's people with character. Trauma does not build character. Hardship builds character. Trauma can build character if you can get over it. That's the video on trauma. What is trauma? What isn't trauma? It's going to vary from dog to dog. What's trauma to one dog is nothing to another dog. There's just dogs that are like, yeah, I was on the streets and now I'm in a house. I don't care about the hardwood floor. And there's dogs that get on hardwood floor and go, I've never felt this. I feel like I'm going to die. Feeling like you're going to die is trauma. And dogs and kids and lack of security and lack of safety and extreme heats and colds and noise assaults and nervous systems spiking and staying spiked is trauma. And your dog can get over it and you can get over it. But you have to be able to navigate this world of going, when am I hard on him? When am I not? How do I make the transition if they're a rescue or even from a breeder at 8 weeks old? How to make that transition easier? When do I level up the discipline? When do I hold off on the discipline? That is something that you have to figure out, okay? But you got to first wrap your head around what is trauma, what it means. So that's the video. Trauma. Like, subscribe to the channel. I hope that helps you in your raising of a dog.